Good morning to everyone. I'm Paul Combs. I'm the owner of Courthouse Direct here in Houston, Texas. I've also got Mr. Zach White on the phone with us. Say hello, Zach.
Hello, everybody.
So Zach is going to be looking at the questions that you might have for us. So you do have a chat box there that any questions as we go along, feel free to send those to Zach and he'll make note of those. And at the end of the program, then we'll try to answer your questions as well as we can. So again, welcome everyone to this webinar today. We were attending the NAPE convention, and you know, sometimes at a convention like this, it's kind of hard to really cover all the things you want to in a 5-minute meeting in a hallway. So we thought we would just have a follow-up meeting, and even for the people that were not able to attend NAPE. So as we look at today's audience, a lot of these folks are abstractors, title researchers, right-of-way agents, oil and gas field landmen, also a lot of attorneys, legal professionals, and also people that are in-house landmen for the E&P companies. And the topics we're going to cover today is access to our FileViewer, which is our historical records of grantor, grantee indexes, deeds, oil and gas documents. Also, relatively new is our GIS mapping, where we show pipeline reports, well reports, well site information, and W1s. Also, too, part of our GIS platform is the ability to create mailing labels and also get deed information for the surface ownership type information. We also have another feature on our site where you can actually search by legal description from the grantor grantee index, and we'll show you that, and then also show you kind of look at our title plant facilities that we have in certain counties. Also, we have what we call an enhanced search engine capabilities that we'll cover as part of viewing the title plants. And then another couple of tools that not everyone's aware of, but I always want to make sure the landmen are aware of this, is the lease alert and the lease check tool. And then lastly, we're going to talk about the Landman starter product that we provide through our company. And so what is the FileViewer? Well, the FileViewer is also known as our historical records, but this is actually the largest repository of historical and current documents and indexes in the state of Texas. And you can see by the list of counties along the left-hand side, a lot of counties, whether they're small counties or large counties, where we have these, this repository of information. Well, where does the information come from? Well, it comes from the county clerk's office, where we've gone in and actually opened all these old books and scanned the books, or we've worked in title companies and we've gone in and scanned all of their card files that are in the title plants. So our sources are typically either the courthouse itself or the title company. Well, what did it take to create this? Well, you can see 2 tractor trailer loads full of boxes and more boxes. And this is what happens when your wife kills you because you're bringing in too many boxes. So it's about getting the information, getting it scanned, and getting it online. That's what we do. And so we have a process for doing this. So essentially, we typically go in and do an inventory of what we want to scan, whether it's in the courthouse or in a title company. And then we scan those records with different types of equipment. Sometimes we use a high-speed scanners. Sometimes we have to use cameras to be able to shoot the data. And there's a whole post-processing that we have to do to remove all the borders around the documents. And then we have to index those records so that they're going to be usable. And then we have a whole quality control team that looks at the data before it goes online. So the keys for us on what we're trying to do is provide our customers with more data, and we call it just unsurpassed depth of data, where we go in and scan all the records going all the way back in all of the counties, and then have more counties online. So you have a one-stop shop, if you will, for the data that you're looking for. So if you were looking for these older records, our FileViewer, it doesn't say FileViewer on the screen, but we have a button on the left-hand side that says historical records. And then if you look at the top here, you see there's a drop-down where it says real property documents, and then it says historical documents. And that's what will get you into where our historical records are. So this is the home page, if you will, or the page for the historical records. And you can see we have a pricing mechanism down there and a little description of the different records that we have. And then we also have some samples on the page. You can click on the samples and kind of see what, see what the different tools are that we provide online. And then we also have another area here that we say, do we have what you need? Well, when you click on that, that actually is going to be the repository that's within the library. So for instance, you can look at this and you can say we have different things that are labeled as deeds or title plants, or things that are labeled as grantor grantee indexes. So I'm just going to show you a few of these different records that we have. So in Harris County, you see this whole list of records, including a lot of information from the City of Houston file room. I'm kind of jumping through these kind of quick, but and then also too, we have a lot of records in Dallas County. You'll see again the title plants listed at the bottom there, and then you have the deed records, and then I'm going to jump over to Henderson County. So again, just giving you a snapshot of kind of, you can see in these records where we have typically the grantor grantee indexes are listed at the top, and it shows you how far back those records go. And then we'll jump over to Reeves County. You see all the different types of records that are in Reeves County, because we know as an oil and gas landman, you not only need to look at the deed records, but you may need to look at mechanic lien records and judgment records if you're going to run have a drill site opinion. So again, just a real quick snapshot of what we're doing there. But to find that, again, you just go to that historical record page and before you sign up, so you make sure that we have what you need. And you can tell most of our data is for Texas and New Mexico. We are going to be expanding that, but right now that's kind of been our concentration. So when you dial into the FileViewer, this is the home page that you see, and essentially you see the very top folder there is what we call starters bases. So a lot of records that we scan are prior title commitments. Now, if you're doing records out in West Texas County where we may not have a lot of title commitments, we may not have a lot of information for you there. But if you're working within usually a metropolitan area, that's where we scan a lot of these old starter files or prior title commitments. So you can kind of look at this particular index for grantor grantee index for Harris County. You can see we go back to the start of Harris County, which was 1836, and these records go up to 1961. Well, should go up to 1960. So 1961 forward is essentially electronic. So you'll see how we kind of mix in the historical records, the handwritten records typically, and then tie those and sometimes even overlap the electronic records that are available. So, and then each county, they index their records a little bit differently. So in this particular county, they show the type of instrument along the left-hand column, the date of the filing, and then the grantors, grantees, and then they have a column there for the date of the instrument, the recording information, and then they do break out the legal description of the property by the subdivision or survey name. Not all counties do that. So each county is going to be a little bit different in the way they index. So in this case, I'm looking at a Reeves County index, looking at the Grantee index, and you can see, again, this happens to be a book that's that's 1929 to 1935. But what we tried to do with these indexes is we tried to make it replicate what is at the county. So we've tried to get fancy one time, trying to make it easier for landmen to kind of drill down to a particular page. But we kind of realized early on that what the landmen really want is they want to be able to feel like they're flipping the pages in the courthouse. That gives them the most comfort, and it really makes a lot of sense to really do it that way anyway. And so again, as you look at this Potter County index, you can see they are listing the actual clerk file number along the left-hand column, and then they list the grantors, the grantees, and then the type of instrument, then the volume of page recording. So you don't always get that file number. A lot of times what you get is just the volume of page number, and then you figure out, well, is that a deed or a deed of trust, or the different doc type. So it just really depends. So the type of records, of course, that we have in this historical records could be deed records, which again, these records will typically go back as far as we can get the records back, and again, the 1800s typically is what we're doing. Within those same records are oil and gas records. So and it's not just deeds, or it's not just mineral deeds or leases. I mean, we'll pick up any assignments or overriding. Happens to be overriding interest of royalty. But anything that we can get our hands on that's in that county clerk's office, we're gonna scan. That was kind of an interesting document, actually, the last one, because and I'm going to go back to it. You can see where this document actually was recorded in a couple of different counties. I can recognize that M number as a Harris County clerk file number, and then you can see the other numbers on the right-hand side are a Chambers County file number or volume and page number. So because this probably had assigning interest in different counties, it was recorded in different counties. So, and then also too, within these records are the Plat records. So we go in and try to scan the Plat index that's in the county, make that index available, and then also to record the actual recorded plats. And we try to make sure that we get all the dedicating language too on the plat. So not only the image of the plat itself, but make sure that we're also picking up any dedicating language that certainly could affect you, either as a surveyor or as a landman. And this plat happens to have some topographic information on it, but again, we want to pick up every page on the plat to give you as much information as we can. I mentioned earlier that we do go in and scan these title company offices, and we've had an opportunity to be able to scan their records. And as you can see in this particular, what we call a starter file or a prior commitment, both those terms really mean the same thing, that you can see down below where all the restrictions are listed there. So I know if I'm doing research within this subdivision and I can see where this other title company that I trust did a good job, then I can more or less trust that they've picked up all of the deed restrictions that are in that area. And then we have different title plans that we have online. So what you're looking at here is what we call a tract book plan. So essentially you have the recording information along the left-hand side, you have the date, and then the filing date, and then the grantor grantees, and then you see where the lot and block numbers are being broken out, where it's tracked out, if you will, within a tract book. And essentially, because this is a subdivision, then everything starts from the plat and then it goes forward. And then this is what we call an ARB title plat, where we have tract numbers that we're matching up to the index itself. And so, like in this case, I'm looking at a tract that I've circled here, a B2, or excuse me, 2B2F. Well, that tract started as a tract 2, then it became a tract 2B, and then it became a tract 2B2, and then a tract 2BF. So it gets broken down into smaller pieces as the area gets broken down into smaller pieces, if you will. And so, and you look at the index itself that this comes from, and you can see that I've kind of highlighted here the actual patent that I guess was really filed for this particular tract, although it probably was dedicated earlier than 1888. That's where you can find the patent there from the state to that particular grantee. And now some people might look at that and say, oh, that's not very pretty. Well, for an abstract or a title person, this is absolutely beautiful information here, because now I've just saved myself probably weeks in the courthouse by being able to look at the sovereignty information. Also, too, another part of records, as I mentioned earlier, is we'll go in and scan the actual tract, the card files. So, and when you scan these card files, the great thing about that is you typically want to make sure they're in good, proper order before you scan them. But once you scan them, guess what? They don't get out of order anymore. And you don't have to worry about somebody walking out with a card. So, again, we've worked with different title company owners to be able to scan their records, something that might cost them, greater than $100,000 to go in and scan. We'll go in and scan those for them with the opportunity to provide that same information to our oil and gas landman customers. So if you know anybody that has a title plan out there that like to have those records scanned and they can afford to do so, or would like to share information, we're always certainly available to do that if they're interested. So again, that's a card plant, but we also scan other types of mediums. So if it's on microfilm or microfiche, in this case, we're looking at microfiche cards. And in fact, this was our original Grantor Grantee index cards that we created here, but I just wanted to show you that microfiche is something that we also are able to scan and then, take that information and put it in electronic format so you don't have to mess with the cards anymore. So, and then something else that we scan in the county courthouses is the probate records. We won't always scan the probate minutes. And in fact, I'll go into some courthouses and I'll see a whole wall of probate minutes along the wall, taking up hundreds of books. And I'm thinking to myself, well, I could scan every one of these books in this office, but I'd probably never make my money back from that. So, but what we try to do is we try to scan the actual indexes themselves, So if you know the recording information for the will or the information that you're looking for, then that's going to be a resource to be able to do that. So that kind of covers our FileViewer information that we have. Certainly able and willing to answer any of the questions that you have. And now I want to get into our GIS mapping. I'll tell you, GIS mapping is something we've had GIS, but it hasn't really been geared to the oil and gas industry until probably the last 2 or 3 months. And so this is relatively new, and a lot of people are just not even aware that this exists. So what I've done is I've created a little video here, and I'm going to let this video run and kind of talk as the video is running. So essentially, to find the GIS mapping, you just click on the GIS mapping button at the top, and you can click on any of those boxes there, and that'll bring you to the next button. So and I want to go ahead and start a search within the GIS mapping. So it's going to bring up the original map here, and anything that you see colored in a light blue essentially is a county where we have tax information, and where you see the pump jacks, those are counties where we have oil and gas and or pipeline information. And you see the drop down there. We have some data in Arkansas, not a whole lot, and some data in New Mexico, but where we're really strong, of course, is Texas. So, and you can see on the map, you know, the number of counties, and really concentrating on that Permian Basin. So you can drop down and choose the county, or in this case, I'm going to go ahead and just choose the a zip code. So we're going to drill down to a zip code that's just on the outskirts of Midland. And as we're drilling down to Midland, you'll kind of see the blue boxes within Midland. Those are actually subdivision boundaries, if you will. And as we drill down and drill down, you'll notice some of these buttons kind of go away. So depending on the zoom level that you're at will show whether you've got the oil and gas information or the pipeline information. So I clicked on that area over there, and I chose to look at the parcel information. So if we look on the right-hand side, we see this is Pioneer Natural Gas Resources, and we can actually see the recording number for the deed to the property itself. But in this case, maybe I want to go ahead and drill down and look at the pipeline information, or excuse me, the oil well information. So we see the oil well there. We see it's Pioneer owns the oil well, and this is our detailed well report. And as we're looking at this, what we're seeing is that the depth of the well was 10,131. We see the abstracts number 31, and we can see the section and block information there too. I'm sure as landmen, y'all probably are very familiar with these different reports here. So, this is your application for the drilling permit, which again gives a lot of good detail on the location of the well and all, and then also too another product that we have within here is the actual drill site map. So this information is either coming from the GLO, it's coming from the Railroad Commission. We're also overlaying this information with the local tax records, then overlaying that with the Google Maps. So again, trying to get all that information in one source here. So now in this case, I'm going to go ahead and choose another county, and I'm going to just go ahead and drill down to Reeves County. Of course, all these counties are pretty popular oil and gas counties, but let's take a look at Reeves County. So again, it highlights the county itself, and then we're going to keep drilling down. And as you drill down in the county, you'll see the block numbers, and then within there, you're going to start seeing the section numbers too. So, and then of course you see all the different oil wells or gas wells that are located there, and then all the green lines are pipelines. So, so as we kind of keep drilling down, since this is, and the pipeline could either be a gathering line, which, or it could be a main pipeline that's carrying different oil and gas products through here. So, I'm going to go ahead and click on one of the pipelines here, and so we do have a pipeline report too. And if I click on the, and you can see it's colored in red, the actual pipeline that's designated here. And then we want to look at the pipeline report. And as we look at this, we see it's Eagle Claw Midstream is the owner. It's a gas gathering line, and we see it's a 16-inch diameter, and it runs for a distance of 1.34 miles. And so typically, 9 times out of 10, whoever the operator is on a pipeline is also the owner of the property. So, owner of the pipeline. So keeping that in mind, we know that, okay, I know that this property is in this area, so therefore I know I need to be looking for either an assignment or an actual easement document or pipeline to that company. And then if we want to drill down to a particular oil well here, or a gas well, I think is this case here, and we want to look at the well report, again, we just click on the well report, we blow this up. But what I wanted to show you here is that on here on the well report, it shows the block and the section number where the well is located. So the fact that we know where this particular oil well is located from the map and looking at the well report, now we want to jump over to the Courthouse Direct Grantor Grantee Index and then do a legal description search for that particular information. So I'm just going over to Courthouse Direct. This is all in real time what I'm doing here. So even though it's recorded, I'm just, and it's moving a little bit quicker than probably you can digest. But from here, whenever you see those kind of blue boxes there, that means you can actually put in legal description information and be able to do a search. And in this case, I was putting in the survey section in the survey block, but when I did the search, it came back with 0 results. Well, when you see that, that typically means you probably entered the information in the wrong box, and that's what I did. So when you come back with 0, when you should be getting some more results, and then that's the lesson that, yeah, I probably need to slow down and put the information in the right box. So in this case, we're looking for survey section 61, block number 4, and it comes back and it says it found 439 results. Well, if you want to purchase this, then it's $63.90 if you want to purchase it at $20 for the base price plus 10 cents a record. So as we're looking at this, you can see how we're matching the colors against the section in the block. And you could see that first record at the top goes all the way back to the 1800s. So 1897 is that first record there. So essentially, this is a fully keyed title plant that we're looking at, where we're making that available to the landman. So you can see the total records are 439 records. So therefore, there's 100 records to a page, and it's displaying 100 records. So we're kind of at the end of the report here, and we can kind of see the records that are coming in from 2017. So again, a complete report. What I did just there, may save you a week in the courthouse. So just keep that in mind as another resource for you. And so let's kind of keep moving here. And what I want to do is kind of show you some of the surface mapping that we've done. So let me get out of the PowerPoint, and now we're on the live website here. So on the live website, I want to drill down to, again, look at my GIS mapping. So I'm just going to click on GIS mapping. Again, I could click on any of these. We do need a button that says oil and gas here, but that's not there yet. And then I want to go ahead and start a search. So again, it'll pull up that particular map. And when it pulls up the map, again, I'm going to have the option of being able to search by these different items on the right-hand side. And again, just a little bit closer picture there, you can see the counties that are highlighted in blue and the ones that have the pump jacks. If I want to hide this information bar on the right, I can just hit that double arrow there and it'll pop back out. But I do have another zip code that I want to look at. So I'm going to go put in my zip code 79423 and say go to that. So when I drill down to that, you can see we're now in Lubbock County. And if I draw back a little bit, you can see kind of this is the zip code that we're entering into. And let's say, for instance, I see this some kind of a pipeline or something running through here, and let's say I'm a surveyor, and so, or I'm a right-of-way agent. I need to notify the people along this particular right-of-way that we're going to be doing some work, or we needed to expand the right-of-way, or whatever it might be. Then you have the ability, top left-hand corner, there's a button that says multiple parcel selection. So I'm going to click on that. And then I'm just going to draw a box around the items where I want to send a mailer to. And you can see it's highlighted these particular boxes here. So then I want to create the mailing labels. And if you notice along the right-hand side, there's a button there that says mailing labels. So I'm just going to click on that. It's going to tell me that I selected 135 accounts. This will cost me $20 to download these labels. I'll put in the Avery 8160 mailing labels when I'm ready to print them. I could charge these to a particular job number or project number, and that you have a place to do that. And now I want to just generate the report. So there's our mailing labels right there. And it's just as easy as putting the mailing labels in and then just printing the labels out. So again, we originally built this really for surveyors and engineers that are doing replatting, and then also for the right-of-way agents that are doing like a right of entry, and the people that are doing doing that type of work. So, and there's also another couple of tools on here. I can't erase this kind of search that I came up with just by using that little eraser button up there. But let's say, for instance, I wanted to kind of measure this little box that I've got in front of me. Well, I have a measurement tool here, so I can just use this area measure. So I'm going to click on the top left-hand corner, and then go to that corner, go to this corner. Again, I'm just drawing a box around the area here because I'm trying to figure out how large is this particular site that I'm looking at. And you can see it's labeled as 61.5 acres. And so, so again, just makes it easy to be able to make a calculation of how large is this tract that I'm dealing with, and to be able to do that very quickly is kind of handy. Again, I want to go ahead and just erase this, and there's also another tool here where I can measure. So, for instance, I wanted to measure the distance across this particular survey line or something. Then I can go in here and just click on the measurement tool. I'm going to click one time, click another time, and then another time, and I can see that this is a distance of 2.03 miles, and then it shows the number of feet that the distance is. So again, another just kind of nice tool to be able to use to be able to do some measurements. So, but let's do this. Let's go ahead and do a search for a legal description, and I'm going to jump back to Courthouse Direct, and I want to go to Leon County. So again, you notice I am logged in here, so it's going to allow me to do this legal description search. So I'm going to choose Texas, and then I'm going to jump over to Leon County. So let's go to Leon. And this is kind of informational here, is that when you go to a county and you want to know, well, how far back do the records go in that county, or how far back do the document images go in the county? If you just drill down to the county homepage, if you will, then you'll be able to see what is available and whether or not we have the different kinds of searches available in the county, and then how far back we go with our historical Grantor Grantee indexes and such. But in this case, I want to run the Grantor Grantee index, so I'm just going to choose Grantor Grantee. And I know that I'm looking for some property that's out of a survey called the Kestner survey. So I'm going to put in Kessner, and I'm going to say, go find everything that's out of the Kestner survey. So it could be the JM Kestner or the WD Kestner or whatever. We're using kind of what we call a double wildcard to look for anything that has Kestner in the name on the legal description column. So again, as I mentioned before, it kind of pops up a little question here. You selected 133 results. Do you want to purchase this? And we're going to tell you what the purchase price is. You'll notice that in Reeves County, it was $20 plus. And then in Leon County, it's a little less just because it's keyed a little bit differently for us. So I'm going to say, yes, I want to continue, and I want to bring up those results of those 133 records. So again, what I'm doing is it's a legal description search for anything that's keyed against that Kestner survey. And you can see that the first record that we're pulling up here is 1951, happens to be a deed, but pretty quickly you're seeing some mineral deed information and contract information. And so this is really everything that is indexed to that Kestner survey. And then from there, let's say, for instance, I go down here and I say, okay, I'm interested in pulling these particular documents that are here. I'm just going to go to the bottom because that's where my buttons are. I want to look at these particular documents. So I just click on the documents I'm interested in looking at. And then I'm just going to go here and click on Buy Selected Documents. And then that'll go to our image database, and we can just view the documents. I'm just going to click on View Image, and then there's our document there. And then I can click on View Image again, look at my next document, and I can see this document's going to be a 13-pager right here. So if I wanted to download all of these at one time, I could just click on this Download to Zip button, and that'll save all of those documents at the same time. Also, too, if you want to charge these to a certain client code, you need to actually put that code number in there, or track number, however you want to charge it to, before you actually start downloading. So, and you could also, I didn't point this out, but I was opening these up in a TIFF format. If you wanted to have these in a PDF format, you have the ability to do that in a PDF format too. So, so if I go here to a new search, or actually let me just go back, and I wanted to you know, find a record here, you know, on this page. Let's say I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for somebody named Baker on the page. Keep in mind that you can always use your Control F button, you know, that's on your browser, and we do typically recommend a Chrome browser. But if I were looking for the name Baker on this page, you can see how just using your browser along with the Grantor Grantee index will highlight the things on the page. So if I'm looking for the name Baker on this page, then use your Control F button on your browser to help you find that. It's just a tool that's there and available, but a lot of times people don't think to use it. In fact, sometimes I forgot to use it, but anyway, just keep in mind that you can use that there. So let me do a new search, and this time I'm just going to pick a different county. So let me just go to Glasscock County. So here's Glasscock, and so in Glasscock County, you can see the searching's a little different in that I'm searching for a survey section and a survey block. That's kind of the emphasis is there when you're dealing with the West Texas counties versus maybe more of an East Texas county where you're just going to be able to put in a survey name. So in this case, let's say I'm looking for survey section, survey block. So I'm looking for a section 19. Now I'm looking for a block number 33, and then I'm looking for a township, which is 5S. So 5S, like Sam. And so then I'm going to hit my search button. So it's going to say it found 72 records there. Well, if I say cancel and I said really what I meant to put in was not 5S but 2S, then I can go in and put in 2S and say search that, and then it'll go through the database and say, well, that's actually 733 records. And then you can choose to continue and go ahead and download those records. I'll go ahead and continue, let that go ahead and download. So again, it's displaying 100 records to a page. In this case, you're going to be looking at 8 pages of information, but you can see how all the data is lined up here, and it's going to be all your records. Essentially, you're tapping into a title plant is what you're doing, and anything that's indexed against that particular that record, you'll see those are colored in different colors there to highlight the fact that you're getting matches here. So it just makes it easy visually to be able to look at that. So that's our legal description search. And of course, you know, we do have our just typical grantor grantee search. So if you knew that you were looking for, you know, someone named Smith and it's John Smith, you know, in this county, then you can just put that in as a party name, and it'll come back very quickly, show these 18 records that came up very quickly here. And that's a free search. So, and the other kind of nice thing about our grantor grantee is the ability to do a sub search. So I can see that John Smith did some business with this Caprock Electric. You can just see where I'm just hit the back button on the browser and you see the sub search there. I'm gonna say go find everything that matches John Smith and Cap, and it'll go through the database and match anything that matches there. So that's actually a very powerful resource there. And the other kind of feature here, you can notice we've got these different filtered searches here. So if I was looking for everything that Caprock did, which was a right-of-way, then I could go in here and say, okay, go find everything with Cap R for Caprock or Cap OR, and it'll look through the party name and look for anything that's an easement, right-of-way, anything that we filtered as a right-of-way type document. So this is obviously the local electric company or something there. So you can see 1,419 records there. But to be able to very quickly on a free search, to be able to drill down to something that you might be looking for, knowing full well that you're looking for something, let's say that's out of survey app or survey 33, again, I could go in here and say, well, go match everything that's out of 33. So now what I want to do, I'm going to click on the home button, and I'm going to go down to the bottom, and you're going to see an area down here that says Geo-Index Title Plants. So when we go into Geo-Index Title Plants, this is our title plants for non-insurance users compared to Integrity Title, which are title plant users. So if I'm just going to go into Harris County just to kind of show you something here. I had an IT gentleman walk in my office a few months ago, and he said, Paul, I want you to run Lot 1 in Harris County. And I said, well, okay, so what's the block number and what's the subdivision name? He said, no, just put in Lot 1 in Harris County. And so I did that, and you can see how immediately it comes back and says that there's over 1 million records of Lot 1 in Harris County. You probably had to pick me up off the floor when I saw that. I'd never seen a database that is that powerful that will go through this many records. You're never going to run Lot 1 in Harris County. You're just not going to do that. But to show you or demonstrate the power of the database that we built here, I think that's a really good indication of that. But let's kind of maybe go to a real life example here. So I'm just going to say new report and just jump back in and do and pick another county. So you'll see all the different counties that are listed here, and then we have some counties in New Mexico too. Probably not as strong on all the oil and gas counties in New Mexico, but we are working on those. But let's go to Glasscock. Go back to Glasscock County this time. And when you see this search with a GF number without a GF number is really kind of a term of art in the title insurance world. It stands for guarantee file number, and it's required on all title files. So it's really your job number if you're doing a non-insurance type search. So let me go in here, and I pick Glasscock County. Now the default is subdivision, but I want to do a survey search. What I'm looking for is a section number 35 and then a block number 35. So yeah, you have to put it in the right box there. So I put it in the township. So let me put a block 35. Now I want to run this search. So go find everything with section 35, block 35, and that's going to pull back these results here. So you can see again where the colors are all kind of matching across here. And I could have put in some other filtered information, which is a township, and I think I might just do that here in a second. So, but what we can see here as we're running this, we can see everything that's matched up. And when you see this word that says see report, it could be that there's 30 different surveys or sections that are listed in here, and we don't want to display all those because then it makes this report or search result really too long and a little cumbersome. So we don't want that. But the other kind of, and you can see the first record here is the patent back in that's been filed back in 1903. And what's really kind of cool is the ability to be able to just click on any of these names, as I'm going to do here with this Fanny Gates name, and say go search everything with Fanny Gates. So it's going to actually go through the database and do another search, everything with Fanny Gates. It's only bringing up a couple of records, but typically you'll say, okay, this is when they bought it and this is when they sold it, you know. And if I want to look at the searches that I did previously, I can just click on the button on the bottom left-hand corner. Again, I'm just going to pull back up that section 35, block 35 search, and there's my search back again. So again, real easy to be able to just click on a name and then search that. Well, since we have 1,132 records here, then if I'm displaying 100 records to a page, then I'm needing to look at 12 pages. Well, another nice feature that we built here is the ability to actually view 500 records on a page. You know, your mind or your eye can really view a lot of information on a page. That's actually why I like microfiche, is that, you know, you could put in that microfiche and you can visually look at 1,000 records just really, really fast, you know. And in this case, we're on a computer. And I was tempted. I was telling my IT guy, so why don't you display 1,000 records on a page? And he said, well, browsers really are not made to display 1,000 records, you know, so we kind of kept it down to 500. But again, you know, if what we're looking for is we're looking for a particular, set of information, you know, on this page, let's say I was, you know, looking for, I'm just going to, again, use my Control F button to be able to open my little box there. And then I'm saying, well, you know, what I'm looking for here is something that, let's say, says merchant. I see that name down there. So merchant. So you see, I'm just putting in MERCH, and you can, again, see the little yellow boxes on the right-hand side where it's picking up all of those different things. Or, you know, in some cases, I might say, well, what I'm really looking for is the word lease or release or whatever it might be. So again, I know what I'm looking for. I'm looking for a release, I'm looking for a lease or whatever it might be. And to be able to use that tool to be able to scan through these records is just a nice feature that's already built in, you know. So let's say, for instance, I'm a searcher. I want to add all this to a run sheet, and I want to build this run sheet. So if you notice on the left-hand side, there's an Add All button there. So I'm just going to go ahead and say add all. So I'm building a report here, and I've got actually, how many pages am I looking at? 3 pages. I'm going to go ahead and just, I don't want to make this report too long just to make it manageable, but I'll just jump to the last page here. Again, that there's 3 pages because there's 500 records to a page, so this should contain like 132 records, the last page. Whenever you go to flip to the page, because you are building a page with 500 records, and you may see this in just a second, it may say wait, or because it's really building a web page, so it just takes a few more seconds. And you can see at the top the different filtered searches. Yeah, there's my wait button. I knew that would come up. But you can see how you can search by the subdivision survey. If you were looking only for right-of-ways or easements, you could choose to look at that. If when I showed you the you can only look for oil and gas related documents if you chose to do that, or you can use what we call our general search, which is really a very, very powerful search here, which I really should show that to you too, where you can take any bit of information and you can match it against another bit of information. So taking a little longer than I would normally take. Okay, it came up. It's coming up, I see. Okay, so we can see this here. Now, again, built within this title plant, is the ability to actually do some other kind of wildcard searches throughout the database. So I can see that 180.1 acre tract. If I click on the general button up here and I say, look for the 180 point tract. So I go through the whole database and look for anything that matches that 180 point tract. And so it's going to search the entire database for anything that's got 180 point something. And typically that is going to be some kind of a acreage tract, because you don't typically see that anywhere else. But if I was looking for something that matches against, let's say, this Warren Oil Corporation, then I could click on that general button. You see it's kept that information in there. And I'm going to put a plus sign and say, go match that with Warren, and search that again. So again, I'm matching 180 acres in Warren, and it's going to come back and find the matches with those. So it gives you the ability to actually find that, really find that needle in a haystack. So it's really good stuff, and the way that you're able to search there. So now that we've kind of looked at this geo index, I want to jump back to the homepage for Courthouse Direct, and I want to kind of point out the lease alert, and I want to point out the lease check, and then we'll look at the starter. So I'm going to minimize this page, and you're going to see this was my lease alert that I got this morning. And if you're not signed up on this lease alert, if you do anything in the oil and gas industry, if you do anything today, sign up on the lease alert, because if you want to know where the action is in Texas, this is where the action is. And so, for instance, I'm going to click on this Add Counties. I'm just going to click on that button there. And actually, it opened on the screen on the right-hand side. But you can see all the different counties here if you want to kind of keep track. You got a few counties that aren't, quote, oil and gas counties, but and you might pick up a lease for a cell tower site or something like that. But even if you signed up on all these counties to track the activity in the county, you may get 2 or 3 emails a week. But if all of a sudden you see 500 leases filed in Anderson County last week, you're going to be going, hey, what's going on in Anderson County, So, but in this case, let's go to Burleson County. So I'm just going to pick Burleson County, again, because I moved that. It showed up on the right-hand side. So let's look at our lease alert for Burleson. So as we look at the lease alert for Burleson, it's not only oil and gas leases, it's any kind of oil and gas related documents. So you can see the mineral or royalty deed at the top there. You can see these amendments of the oil and gas leases. You can see the memorandums of oil and gas leases. And then if I want to look at any particular record here, I can just click on View Image, and then it'll just open up that particular PDF that has that particular record there. Again, this is a free service on our website. And the reason that we make it free and make it available is what we really want the user to do is maybe dig a little deeper and maybe do a little more searching, So in this case, let's say, for instance, I'm working in this county. I know that I'm looking for something that's out of, let's say, the Hall survey, then I can run a lease check. So I'm in Burleson County. I'm going to click on a lease check. I'm going to go over here again. I want to pick the right county, so it remembers I was in Glasscock, but now I'm in Burleson. So let's go to Burleson. Burleson's searching's a little different there. So I'm just going to put in Hall. Say go find everything that has the name Hall in it that's within the legal description columns for Burleson County. So it's and anything that's an oil and gas related document. So again, we can see this is a pretty active area of the county. 1,248 records, 13 pages, because we display 100 records to a page, and you can see everything here that's labeled under the Hall survey. And if I were looking for, let's say, everything that I can see that's 72.11 acres, if I knew that acreage and I wanted to do another lease check and say that find the 72 point acre tract, then I can actually don't put it there. You want to take that, and I'm going to put it back in here where the legal description is and say, go find everything that's 72. And it's going to go through the database and look for anything that's in that's within that legal description data set that's a 72 acre tract. So again, anything that's labeled as a 72 acre. And sometimes you can get a pretty good chain of title here. I mean, essentially it's, you know, it's in the Hall, you know, it's 72 acres, and then you just kind of, you can track it down here. So that's a pretty good, you know, pretty good way to kind of narrow down whatever it is you're looking for. So if you wanted to sign up on the lease alert, we'll just go back to the home page for Courthouse Direct. I can do that. Go back to the home page for Courthouse Direct. You notice there's a button on the left-hand side. It just says Lease Alert. So I'm just going to click on it. This your page to be able to sign up. You just click on that Sign Up button. It takes two minutes or 2 seconds really, and then you're signed up. And you'll see all the different doc types that are there. So again, the other tool that I was showing you was that Lease Check tool. So again, kind of back to the home page for Courthouse Direct, and you'll see there's your lease check where you can just click on the lease check, you know, go to the county, whatever it is that you're looking for. If I'm looking for Anderson County, I know the party name that I'm looking for was Johnson, Robert Johnson. I could put in a party name if I didn't have the legal description name, or I could put in you know, whoever the company is. Well, okay, now I want to look at everything that Lambert Petroleum has done in this county. I can go in here and say, okay, let's just do another lease check. This time under the party name, we're going to look under Lambert Petroleum. I don't want to spell out petroleum. Let's keep it a little bit shorter, and let's go ahead and search that, and then we'll find out that in this particular county, they've got 15 records that are filed there. So, and then the other thing just to point out is that you see all the little video cameras here. Any of these cameras that you click on is a little kind of quick video. So if I were to click on the lease check, that'll open up and it'll show us, you know, a little 3-minute video that kind of goes through. Unfortunately, you have to listen to my voice again, but again, it's just a nice little quick video. And then also too, any of these different things that we're talking about. And point out one other thing. This is a little longer video, 6 minutes, but we do own this. It's called a channel on YouTube, which is the Courthouse Academy channel. And when I go there and you see any of these webinars that run, that's 35 minutes. You'll see some of them. This is 52 minutes, so a bit longer. But just like today's webinar, we'll post that onto our YouTube channel, and anybody can go back and look at it at any time. So if you need a review on what you were listening to, then certainly you can always go back there and you can find that. And let's kind of, the last thing I want to look at on the oil and gas side is our different tools that we provide for oil and gas. So we have a product, it's kind of a unique product in some ways. We call it a Landman starter. So as you recall, I was building that run sheet, and when I was building the run sheet, I was adding all that information into the run sheet, and then from there I was building a report. And so if I click on this Landman starter, then you'll see these are all our Landman products. So Landman starter is, again, it's like a takeoff out of the title plant that we're providing to you, and I can hear that. Let me kill that. Hopefully you aren't hearing that. Okay, sorry about that. So again, it's a takeoff out of the title plant, and then what we do is we have an oil and gas landman on our staff. Dwight Dunlap is our oil and gas manager, and essentially it's a landman that's actually pulling the run sheet for you, so that as they're pulling the run sheet, they're also looking for any kind of breaks in the chain. But essentially what we're able to do is hand that off to the landman, and then they're going to actually run their title with this chain that we pulled out of the title plant. In some counties, we're keying every document going all the way back in the plant. In other counties, we're kind of starting with the county information, enhancing that county information, but we may not call it a full, full title plant. But if I click on this sample here, you'll kind of see, that might be a little hard to see, but essentially you can see there's your survey name, your abstract number, your section number, and then you can see the parties' names, the different doc types, and then you can see the date of the filing, the instrument date, the recording information, telling you whether or not it's a deed book or an oil and gas book, whatever it might be, and then the volume and page recording, and then these are hyperlinks to the actual documents themselves, and then a place there for you to make your notes. So again, a great resource to be able to, if you didn't want to subscribe to the title plant, but you know you're running title in a certain section block or in a certain survey where we have this information, then it's real easy. You just order the report from us. Typically what we do is we quote the price on the report. So if it's 500 records that we're pulling back, we're going to also provide all the document images to go with that. So we would price it based on the number of records that we're pulling back, and sometimes too based on the county and the difficulty in the county to have built the title plant. So, but the Landman Starter, people are starting to use this and they're really liking it. It just makes your life as a landman that much easier to start with. That's the whole reason you sign into a title plant, right? Is to be able to get that information, to be able to start your search, and then you're back using your Grantor Grantee indexes to double check. And then we in no way are really trying to compete with any brokers out there or any of the landmen, but there are people that would like for us to, the same way we do at the Landman Starter, maybe give them more complete abstracted title that they can use. So certainly we can provide a limited abstract, really, as you're telling us the date range, and then a full abstract as we're going back as far as we can to do that. So again, if it's too complex or it's in a county that where we don't have data, we're not taking that kind of work. It's just when we have an electronic database that we can tap into to provide the data, then we're willing to do that. And then we have this lease activity report to, again, just kind of a little snapshot of what's going on out there. Something else I know with a lot of our attorney clients is that they'll have a whole list of, they have a spreadsheet with a whole list of documents they need to pull for them to be able to review. We also have it's not advertised here, but we also have a tool that will go through and take all those volume and page numbers, and we'll pull all of those documents rather than someone sitting there and manually one by one pulling the documents. You send us a spreadsheet, we tap into our database, and we send the documents to you. So that's another resource. So I'm going to go back to the home button here, and I'm going to go to the top, and some of y'all that are not that familiar with Courthouse Direct may not really understand our pricing or know our pricing, but to see our pricing, I'm going to need to log off. So top right-hand corner, I've logged off, and there's a button that says sign up /pricing. So most of our landmen are either signed up on either a Plan 1 or a Plan 2 or a Texas volume pricing. So we've kind of broken this down and says, look, if you're only pulling 0 to 5 documents a month, maybe you want to do a Plan 1. But if you pull a 100-page assignment, you're being charged by the page. So economics may not work, for you if you're pulling these very long documents. And then most of our surveying clients or landman clients are either signed up again on Plan 2 or Texas volume pricing. So if you know you're working on a project, you're going to be pulling a lot of documents, then you want to go with Texas volume pricing. But if you're kind of in between projects, but you know you're going to pull a few docs, then Plan 2 works, and then the maximum you pay for a document would be $4.75. That means that you have a $25 minimum versus Plan 1 where there's no minimum, but you pay by the page. And then if you're pulling over 22 documents in a month, then the monthly minimum is $50. So once you pull 25 documents, if you will, and the price per document is $2 a document. So once you pull 25 documents times $2 a document, you've met the monthly minimum. So it's as if the minimum doesn't really exist there. Then we do have a product we call it pricing that we call it Texas volume pricing. This is for individual landmen. It's not company-wide where the others are company-wide where you can just set up 10 landmen on it and you can just charge into one account. This Texas Volume Plus is strictly for individual landmen, and that's typically if you're pulling more than 200 documents a month, this would make sense. But your price per document drops all the way down to 50 cents a document, but the monthly minimum is $200 a month. So it really is only something you would sign up for if you have a large project. And then these other services that we provide, I mentioned that we have the FileViewer, and then we have the monthly access for the FileViewer is $100, gives you 300 image views. If you go over 300, then the price is 50 cents per image view thereafter. Our daily access is $50 to view up to 100 records, and that gives you also 24-hour access, whichever comes first. Now, if you know you're going to be pulling a lot more than 300 documents in a month out of the FileViewer, then just contact Zach, and he'll work out an arrangement with you so that we can keep your costs down for those documents. So once you are hitting 300 views, you might just reach out to Zach and he'll work with you on the pricing on that. So again, what we're trying to do is just be a resource and provide the things that you need. And then as far as like our title plants, this is a little bit. Typically, it's $500 a month plus $50 a user. There are a few title plants, like Reeves County is one of those that we've spent a tremendous amount of money building, and actually our price per month is $1,000 a month in that particular county, and we probably need to amend our comments here. And then back to this, these historical records, I wanted to point out, which I didn't mention when I was on here, but it came to mind, is that when you're viewing the indexes themselves, the handwritten Grantor Grantee indexes or whatever kind of index is labeled there, then you're not being charged a page view for the indexes. You're only charged a page view for viewing a document. And it's not actually per page. If we have a document stapled together and it's a 10-page document stapled together, then what you're paying is just 50 cents for that, or 30 cents if you break it down to 300 records for $100. So again, it's per image view and not per page view. So anyway, that works out for most folks. So again, I just wanted to touch on the pricing here. Didn't want to delve in too much, but again, sometimes if you've not used us before, you may be on plan one and you say, man, I got my bill is a little bit large because I'm using this a lot. Well, think about jumping over to plan two. Or let's say you finished your project you're working on, and you say, hey, I need to go back to plan two because I'm not going to pull as many documents. So we're pretty flexible. We can kind of move you around on these plans whenever you want to. So anyway, that's about it for me. Zach, do you have any questions coming from your side?
Yeah, I do have a couple of questions. Some of them you touched on already, but there's other ones. I think the first one, excuse me, was the cost to access the FileViewer and the document costs. I think you pretty much covered that one pretty well. And then the second question is, do you have data for all counties back to patent? And is there a place online or someone they can contact to get a list of counties back to patent?
I mean, wherever we build databases, we're going to build that database back as far as we can, particularly if it's an oil and gas county, and that will go back to patent. Of course, the General Land Office is one that holds all the patents, so that's always a good resource for folks. So, and when we say all counties, we keep in mind we got 254 counties in Texas. So we're our goal is, and I'll just state it out loud, is our goal is to scan every piece of paper in every county in Texas. Now, what drives that is kind of our customers asking us, are you in this county? When will you be in the county? I've got 50 landmen I'm going to be sending out there next month to this county. Is this something you can help me out with? So sometimes it's driven by our customers as much as it's driven by our need to be able to be in the county. So that's kind of a long answer to a short question, but really, again, every county is different in terms of the amount of data that we have. But our goal always, whenever we send a scanning crew out, number one, scan all the handwritten grantor grantee indexes. Number two, scan all the deed records going back to sovereignty. Scan all the oil and gas records back to as far as they go back. And then, of course, whatever is electronic, we'll get that. We'll put it into our system here. We'll rekey it. We'll manipulate it without changing any of the county data. If we get an electronic database from the county, we are not going to change any data in that database. We may enhance it, we may improve it, we may correct spellings of names or legal descriptions, but we're not going to change that data. So electronic data that you're looking at on our website is data that comes from the county. In some cases we're building the database from scratch. But if it's data we've received from the county, we do not manipulate that data except to enhance it and to make it better.
Great. Here's another one. This one's related to the GIS maps. The first question is there a cost to use the GIS system? And then follow-up question on that is how often are the GIS data updated?
Well, the GIS data is, we want to keep that data as current as we can. And so, you know, when it relates to any oil and gas related information, you know, then we're trying to update that, if not daily, like weekly. So we want that to be just as current as we can be. And it really, a lot of times it really depends on, you know, the county offices that we're dealing with. So if the county is able to provide the data more often than another county as far as tax information, we'll do that. And some of it's is like the tax maps that we see online. Some of that is kind of geared toward when the taxes go out. So again, I didn't show this part to you, but you know, one other feature that we have on our site is the ability to search by address. And let me tell you, if you're a landman and you're looking for someone in a particular county and you know their address, but you don't know anything else about them, then let's say, for instance, I can put in an address here for 806 Main, and this person is supposed to be in Round Rock. So I'm just going to say, okay, well, I'm looking for this guy that's in Round Rock. And what we're doing is we're actually drilling down. This is using our GIS map from the homepage for Courthouse Direct. So I want to drill down to that particular property. So as I drill down, you notice it's highlighting that property on the screen, and then it actually is still loading this information here. But I want to see if it lets me do a street view too. So bear with me just a second. But again, kind of you can see now that it's showing the legal description down below. And so if I want to stand in front of this property, wherever it is, you see the little yellow man, I can just click on that, and then I'm going to be doing a street view in front of this property. Now, if I'm a surveyor or an engineer or something like that, then I'm going, hey, there's a power line there. There's a ditch that runs behind the property. There's some other information here that I want to pick up that I should be looking for that I'm not sure that's there. I can also in here click on the Google map, and it'll just open the Google map, and then I can drop my little yellow man there in front of the property too. So and you'll see there's your lat and long for the property. So again, as far as keeping the information updated, the reason I wanted to show this to you is because a lot of the information that we're providing is tax information for our title insurance users, and that they require that the data be current. And then on the oil and gas side, again, we just want to keep that as current as possible too.
Perfect, great.
The other question, Zach, that I did not answer was, what is the price for the GIS or the map? And we have not set a price yet. So we just really rolled this out probably in the last 30, 45 days. We're still getting a few little bugs out of the system. I think once we kind of get the bugs out, then we'll look at pricing. We know that it has to be fair, to our customers. We're not going to be the most expensive, but again, what we want to do is get these tools in the hands of the users in a way that they're not thinking about price. They're thinking about, this is the resource that I need to go to.
Good deal. One question that came in was with regards to the GIS, the well transaction, since we're on this kind of theme. Is the well location the surface or bottom hole location?
Well, you can see. Let's just go to a county here, so you'll see it. So let me go to Midland County, because that's an interesting one. I'm always kind of blown away by Midland County and how you have the town of Midland that is surrounded by all of these oil wells, and you're out there in the kind of the middle of nowhere, but you can't really grow because you're like surrounded by oil wells. But you kind of see kind of this directional drilling that's going on here. You can see how they're drilling kind of underneath the town, and you'll see kind of where the well site locations are in relation to the actual where the downhole is, and so you can see here, no one's drilling on those people's backyard. But if I click on that and say, show me the well location, I'll go and I'll see it. This is a permitted location, so there should be a W1 here, and so let's open up our W1, and then we can see, well, that's not filled out yet, so that's not good. But again, that's probably just because it's brand new. But you can see that. Again, let's look at our well report here. So depth of 11,000 feet, and you can see again. You can go. Anybody can just go in here and kind of play with it. But you can see there's this where they're actually doing the drilling here, and then you can see the lateral that goes up here where they're actually actually drilling the well down. You have another question?
I do. I've got a couple more here. Well, one person asked, who would be the best person to contact for data opportunities? They mentioned that we have a lot of data available, and if they had data,
contact me. Contact me. I'll go ahead and give out my information here. So it's my email address is initial P, CONES at courthousedirect.com, and I'll go ahead and share my direct phone number, which is 713-683-4012, and again 713-683-4012. And Zach, you're our customer service manager, so go ahead and give out your email address and your phone number too, so people can reach out to you. Certainly.
My email address is zwhite@courthousedirect.com, and my direct phone number is 713-683-4050.
So I am seeing a question about what counties we cover in New Mexico. So I'm gonna back out of here. If I click on the zoom button here, that's where I can pick out wherever I want to go to. So I'm going to go to New Mexico, and just go to the state of New Mexico, and you'll see these are the areas that are colored where we have tax information. As far as the oil and gas information, I think we don't really have the depth of information in New Mexico yet. Again, keep in mind, if you will, that we're a title insurance company, and so part of what we've been doing here is really building out the data for title insurance, which we've been doing for a number of years, and then we're gravitating to doing more of the oil and gas. So again, but if you drill down to the county here, let's just kind of go into Eddy County while we're here. Okay, I want to go to Donna Ana. I want to go to Eddy. So if I go to Eddy County, and then I click on my Google Hybrid, you can see, as I'm drilling down, you can see since that's such an active oil and gas county, you can actually see kind of where the well site locations are, and you can also see the township range information here too. So even though we may not have the the well site information, you can at least get some information about what's going on out there.
Great. So you tackled that one. The other one I see here is asking about water transaction and other minerals outside of, I guess, oil and gas.
Yeah. Well, anything that's filed in the real property records in the counties is information that we're going to have. So if water rights, which we'll see, you'll see a lot more of these water right filings, or particularly nowadays, you're going to see more of that. So anything that's recorded I remember seeing on one of the searches I think I did in Burleson County, or one of those where there was a coal lease, So if it's anything that's, whether it's surface or mineral, as long as it's filed in the real property records in the county, then we are typically going to have those records. All right, well, let's wrap this up. Do appreciate everybody being on the phone today. I know that there may be a few questions that we had not gotten to, but we'll try to respond to those offline. And we are recording this webinar, so we'll share that on our, we'll be sending a link out, and when we would ask you if you have associates that were not able to attend today that would be interested, then certainly feel free to share that with the people that in your office. So we look forward to working with you, and anything that we can do for you on our side, let us know, and we'll just move on, and let us know when anything that we can do to improve the product that we're providing and the service we're providing. Again, thank you very much. Hope you all go out and have a great day today. Thank you.